Dunks used tires and wheels, where the customer is always number one. So when life's throwing you a number two, just remember, Dunks Tires and Wheels, because we'll be here for you. We sell used custom wheels and tires and do plug and patch repair. We have all tread styles and sizes in stock. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5, and on call for emergencies. Call 270-963-6391. Dunks used tires and wheels, where the customer is always number one.
I met the flag at Iwo Jima. When I was just a lad in school, I never disobeyed the rule to burn the flag and treat it as a common rag. I never would have torn it down or mocked its meaning over town or spat upon the stripes there or wiped my feet on stars fair. In no way now that I recall would I have damaged it at all. But on the other hand, you see, it meant not very much to me. I pledged allegiance, as the rest, just idle words from out my chest. I sang about the banner, too, but never felt constrained to do a deed to honor those who gave their lives the flag to bravely save. And though its history oft I'd heard, yet still my heart was not much stirred. My training all had hit a snag. I never really met the flag. But then it all did change one day when I was very far away. It happened back in 45, where some were dead or half alive. The morning sun was shining bright, where there had been a bloody fight. Up to the mount I looked, and there, a sign of triumph in the air. Our precious flag was waving high, announcing victory to the sky. Though I'd seen the flag before and said allegiance times galore, the flag meant more that morn to me, because it heralded victory. It waved a message back and said, "For me to fly, your friends are dead." And then it all made sense to me. The flag's the symbol of the free. That special morn on Iwo's Isle, I gazed and gazed a long, long while. My heart leaped up. Gone was the sag, for there I truly met the flag.
That, of course, was Princeton's Dale Fawn, his recitation of I Met the Flag. We're also joined by veterans this morning, Danny Beavers and George Barber. Barber, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
And today is Veterans Day officially. Of course, we've been celebrating and having different ceremonies all week, and I know there's going to be the one at the courthouse steps this morning at 11. And so you two are here to talk to us a little bit about your experience as veterans. Who wants to go first?
Well, I probably ought to go first because George retired after 30 years and I retired after 24 months.
Okay.
But I want to publicly thank Milner Knorr and Ryan and Jenna Weiner and Rick Morgan at Morgan's Funeral Home for bringing the Wall That Heals to Princeton to start that journey to Paducah. That was the first time that I felt like I'd returned to America that I left when I went overseas. And that meant a lot to me as a veteran, and I know it did to all the veterans that were a part of that. And George, on the other hand, spent a lot more time in the service than I did and served his country well. George?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate the same thank you for bringing the wall. That was very special. I'll never forget bringing my grandkids out to watch at the funeral home as they started and began that parade, and driving them with part of the parade, and them seeing folks waving on the side of the road and such, and giving them a chance to see what that meant. That was very special. And I like to add, like to Danny, thanking Morgan's Funeral Home and Milner Knorr for that wonderful opportunity.
George and I went in the service about the same time, and we both ended up in the same military occupational skill, which was field artillery.
Yeah, we
George.
both spent a little time at Fort Sill together, I guess, as young soldiers, and got a chance to see each other there while we were there.
Yeah, that was really special because we grew up here and were great friends, and it just kind of worked out. I was going to say a little about Veterans Day, that a veteran is anyone that served in the military service, be it Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, Marines, United States Army. I think I've left any out. If I have, I don't mean to offend anyone, but it coincides with days that started out as Armistice Day and Remembrance Day in Canada, and it's celebrated in other countries around the world. It marks the anniversary of the end of World War I, which was the war to end all wars. Unfortunately, it didn't.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have one of those. It's just part of the way human nature is, and part of the way the countries interact with each other. And I think that's unfortunate. But I think to say that the war that end all wars is not going to, we're not going to see that. And so there's a lot that we need to recognize and thank our veterans for, and knowing that in the future there's still going to be a lot to thank them for, as it is today with the war on terror, and those who offer their time and sacrifice and put themselves at risk for others in our country.
It's there are many people fighting the war on terror that's not in the military service, and we, as a country, we all should be aware that we are at war with the terrorists for what they did in 9/11. I want to make sure our people understand that Veterans Day shouldn't be confused with Memorial Day. Veterans Day is to honor those who've served, and many didn't come home, to honor those who didn't come home, who died in service for their country. And I want to quote John Fitzgerald Kennedy, that many of our older people will remember him as president, and also a veteran and a war hero. As we express our gratitude, Kennedy said, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. And I think George found something that someone uttered in another forum for Veterans Day.
Yeah, I just noticed this. It struck me as I was watching TV, and it was I think it was on Channel 6. They were doing a little thing on guest speakers and such at Veterans Day, and I noticed that in one of the versions, or one of the iterations, it was a senior non-commissioned officer was speaking to a group, and I think it was a high school or a class, and his comment was that if you wanted to honor veterans on Veterans Day, live a life worth defending.
And those are strong words, and I hope that carries through to our young people. I just want everyone to remember to tip their hats to those veterans, that people who've served and have shown their bravery to defend this country, regardless of whether you're for or against any military movement against any country. But the least we can do is honor the veterans and these heroes, and that's the reason we're celebrating Veterans Day anyway. It's to venerate the great men and women and with words of appreciation.
And I think that most of them, or all of them, are very humble in what they've done, and don't seek recognition. Many have done some really wonderful things in sacrificing for our country, and many of them you'll never hear that from them about what happened, but do recognize and remember the things that have happened for our country. And it's kind of unique in that Princeton's pretty special to veterans, and that Princeton was founded by Captain Prince, who was a Revolutionary War veteran. He received the Princeton as a land grant in payment for his service, and he and a number of veterans came and settled Princeton. And so we have a rich history in Princeton of veteran contributions to this town and to the community and to the county throughout the veterans from the Revolutionary War on through the Civil War, World War I, World War II, and our latest conflicts, Vietnam and the War on Terror. So it's kind of special place, and a lot of veterans have contributed to making it what it is.
Just remember that you should respect the sense of duty that all veterans have shown their country, and I hope that you'll be inspired by the veterans' pursuit of liberty and fraternity and equality, and to help keep this nation free and provide the freedoms that we all enjoy.
And you're again invited at 11 o'clock to our ceremony at the courthouse. Shouldn't be too long, but we are going to recognize the veterans, and you're more than welcome to come and attend and spend a few minutes with us.
Main Street will be blocked off from Zia Bros. No traffic around the courthouse, no traffic up or down South Jefferson by the courthouse, and that'll just be a brief interruption for those that may be traveling and not stopping for the ceremony, but we hope you'll excuse the inconvenience briefly and help honor the veterans with that. George has got to go and work on that ceremony, and he's also going to the middle school today to speak. I'm going to leave here and go to the high school, Miss Caroline Ray's class. I'll go back after the ceremony to her class in the afternoon.
What branch were you in?
Both of us were in the Army, and both of us as field artillerymen.
Okay. And how old were you? Did you enlist? Were you drafted? What was your situation?
I was the last person drafted in Caldwell County that actually went to Vietnam.
Wow.
George was in ROTC and pursued a career.
Yeah, I went through the ROTC program at Murray, got my commission, and had planned on doing my 2-year service, and 30 years later I completed that service.
Changed that plan a little bit, huh?
Changed the plan, but if I had a chance to do it over again, I'd do it again. And certainly it was the most rewarding experiences I've had. Some of the relationships I've had with fellow soldiers and those who dedicated their time working, for me and with me, is something that I'll always treasure.
Do you have any words to offer any young men or women that are thinking about possibly joining the service at this time?
It's hard to say, because I guess there's so many wonderful things to say about it. It's truly, I guess I would say, the most rewarding thing that you can do. Your experiences. Our soldiers today have a much different experience than I had. I came in 1971, just about after Vietnam, so I went to Europe instead of Vietnam, and I retired just before 9/11. So my time in the service was the Cold War time, that period of time. Soldiers today that come in facing usually many deployments into combat, and I honor their dedication, their service, and their special commitment to our country and sacrifice. And again, as I said, I think the greatest thing that anyone can do to recognize that is again, live a life worth defending in our country, and recognizing the sacrifices they've done for that.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly true, and words well spoken. Today's military person, a young person, 18 or 19, that joins any branch of the service is going to be highly trained. It's technical. They get a good education. If they don't stay in the service, they'll have a skill to come out besides just the combat end of things. So it is really, and most young people today especially need that period of time to grow up and be away from home and depend on themselves a little bit. So it's not bad at all.
Yeah, I think the rewards, the opportunities, you do face the aspects of conflict and the environment of conflict, but the other opportunities that you have as a result of your service and the relationships you build and the experiences you have and the education you get are truly unique and not available in other environments.
And do you have anything else you'd like to add? I mean, anything that you want? Obviously, you've sent us off with words of something to think about.
I think we said enough.
And I know you've got a lot of places to be, so I'll let you all get to that. And we appreciate you being here this morning. And from WPKY, we thank you for your service.
Thank you much for this opportunity. We sure appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Danny Beavers and George Barber, veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces, here to tell us about their experiences on Veterans Day.
Here's your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast.
We're looking for some more rain today, but mostly this afternoon with a high only around 42. Rain again overnight, freezing rain possible with an overnight low around 31. It'll be cloudy when you get up in the morning and then gradually get sunny tomorrow with a high near 36. Partly cloudy tomorrow night with an overnight low around 22. Again, look for rain mostly this afternoon with a high near 42 today.
Your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast is brought to you